Most people think you'll know when an avoidant is serious. I love you. No more pulling back. Suddenly acting like every normal partner you've ever had. Calling more. Planning ahead. Doing all the things you've been quietly hoping for since the beginning. Wrong. That's not how it works. And it never has been, no matter how many times you've told yourself otherwise. Avoidants don't announce devotion. They don't narrate their feelings out loud. And if you're waiting for a grand declaration, you're waiting for something that was never coming. Not because they don't feel it, but because the moment usually looks nothing like what you pictured. Because the moment an avoidant actually means it, the words that slip out are smaller than you expect. Stranger. Almost accidental. Sometimes they catch themselves saying it mid-sentence. Sometimes, right after, you can watch them wish they hadn't. Watch them try to walk it back before it fully lands. Here's what no one prepares you for. Avoidants withhold language on purpose. Not because they feel less, but because naming a feeling out loud makes it real. And real means it can be taken from them the way things have been taken before, in relationships you were never there to see, and stories they've never fully told you. Research on avoidant attachment shows that verbal disclosure activates a threat response similar to physical closeness, which is why silence became a default long before you ever met them, built slowly over years that taught them speaking first meant losing first, every time, without exception, until quiet simply became easier than risking it again. Staying quiet protects them. It keeps the exit open, even in moments that don't call for one. Because for them an open exit is simply what safety looks like, a habit so old it stopped feeling like a choice at all. So when specific words get past that defense anyway, slipping through despite everything built to stop them, it isn't small talk and it isn't politeness. It's a leak in a wall they spent years reinforcing without ever explaining to anyone, sometimes not even themselves, why the wall was there in the first place. And there are 7 things they say, almost without meaning to, that tell you exactly what's happening underneath, one small crack at a time. Truth number 1. I don't usually let people in like this. They don't say it to flatter you, and they're not fishing for a reaction. They say it because they've caught themselves doing something they didn't plan on doing, and it unsettles them enough that they have to acknowledge it out loud, even if only once, even if they never bring it up again for the rest of the relationship. For someone whose entire relational pattern runs on controlled distance, admitting an exception is admitting the pattern already broke somewhere they weren't watching closely enough, somewhere underneath the version of themselves they show everyone else. They're not really describing you when they say it. They're describing themselves, and the fact that they no longer recognize their own behavior around you the way they used to with everyone else who came before you in this exact same role. Truth number 2. I don't know why, but I keep thinking about you. This one comes out almost confused, like they're reporting a symptom rather than confessing a feeling, like something is happening to them instead of something they're choosing. Research on attachment theory shows avoidant individuals often experience intrusive emotional thoughts as disorienting, since their internal system is built specifically to suppress exactly this kind of persistent thinking about another person before it has a chance to take hold. When it survives the suppression anyway, breaking through despite everything working against it, they don't have a script for how to say it gracefully because they've never had to build one before now. Never needed the words for something they always managed to avoid feeling this strongly. So it comes out unpolished, half a complaint, half a confession, and more honest than their usual careful language ever allows itself to be. Truth number 3. You make this easy. It sounds like a compliment, but it's closer to a warning they're giving themselves without meaning to, a small confession disguised as small talk. Avoidants build their whole defense system around the belief that relationships are effortful, exhausting, something to eventually manage or escape once it gets complicated enough, a belief every past connection seems to confirm all over again. Ease breaks that premise from the inside, quietly, without asking for permission first. When they notice they're not performing, not calculating their next retreat 3 steps ahead, not managing distance the way they manage it with everyone else in their life, they say it almost like they're testing whether it's true, watching for your reaction more closely than they'd ever admit. And once it's out loud, some part of them can't unsee that it is, no matter how they try to explain it away afterward. Truth number 4, I almost texted you and then didn't. This is the one they regret admitting the second it leaves their mouth, because it exposes a mechanism they normally hide from you completely, the one quietly running underneath every silence you've ever gotten from them. It means the impulse to reach out is real and repeated, not occasional the way they prefer you to believe, not a one-time slip they can explain away. It means they're aware of their own avoidance happening in real time, catching themselves mid-retreat and choosing, for once, to tell you instead of just disappearing the way they always have before, with everyone who came before you and never got the same honesty. Truth number 5. I don't want to mess this up. Effort was never the risk for them. Not once. Not in any relationship before this one. Losing something they actually wanted was always the thing they organized their whole life around avoiding. Research on avoidant attachment finds that fear of loss becomes a stronger motivator than desire for closeness once genuine investment sets in, more consistent than almost anything else studied in the field of attachment psychology. This sentence means a calculation is already flipped inside them, quietly, without an announcement, without a single conversation about it happening out loud. They're no longer protecting themselves from you. They're protecting the thing between you from themselves instead, which is a completely different posture than anything they've shown you before now, and one they arrive at rather than chose. And then it builds toward the one that changes everything. Truth number 6, I've been thinking about what you said. Not the fight, not the moment, not anything you'd expect them to replay late at night when everything else goes quiet. Your specific words. Turn over somewhere private they don't usually let anyone see, let alone admit to keeping. This is them quietly rewriting the story they've told themselves about people who get close, the one where closeness always eventually gets managed down into something safer, something they can control the shape of. Your words stuck in a place they usually clear out fast, automatically, without effort, without even noticing it happening. And the fact that they didn't clear out this time, that it stayed and kept resurfacing, is a whole point they're not saying directly, because here it is. Truth number 7. I don't want you to think I don't care. Watch closely, because this is the moment everything shifts. This is a sentence that cost them more than any other on this list, more than all 6 that came before combined. It means they've noticed a gap between what they feel and what they usually show, and for once they're closing instead of letting you assume the worst way everyone before you was quietly allowed to for years. It isn't an apology. It isn't reassurance offered for its own sake, something to smooth things over and move past quickly. It's an admission that your read of them matters more than their comfort in staying unreadable, and for someone built around distance, that is nearly everything they have left to protect. Saying it cost them the one thing they've guarded longest, the ability to disappear, without anyone noticing they were ever gone. When an avoidant says this, something in them has already surrendered, whether they've admitted it to themselves yet or not, whether they say it again tomorrow or never bring it up at all. Take a breath, because none of this needs to feel urgent anymore. If you've heard one of these and wondered afterward whether you imagined it, you didn't. These words aren't performances, and you should never let anyone convince you they mean nothing simply, because they weren't wrapped in the language you were expecting. An avoidant doesn't fake this kind of unpolished, half-formed honesty, because faking it would require the exact vulnerability their entire system is built to avoid. When it happens anyway, when it slips out sideways instead of on purpose, it isn't strategy. It's a system quietly breaking its own rules in front of you, whether they're meant for you to notice or not, and that's not something you need to chase or rush or prove. It's simply something worth recognizing for what it is. So let it settle. You can take these words as confirmation, proof that what's happening between you is real even if the rest of their behavior hasn't fully caught up yet, still lagging a few steps behind what they've already admitted out loud. Or you can watch, gently, without pressure, for whether the words eventually turn into consistency over time, since language is only the first crack in the wall and never the whole wall coming down at once. Either way, you weren't wrong to notice it, and you don't need anyone's permission to trust what you heard. They said something they don't usually let themselves say to anyone, and that's not nothing. That's the beginning of them finally showing you what they've been protecting this whole time, quietly, in their own time, in their own way, at their own pace and no faster. And whatever happens next, you'll know you saw it clearly, right when it mattered most, long before they were ready to say it twice.